Welcome everybody to Tales from the Tackle Shop. This is, I think it's episode 11, isn't it, Alex? Can't remember.
Not a clue, mate. Not a clue.
Not a clue, but we're trying something completely different this week. COVID's completely thrown us out of sync and how we normally do things from my kitchen table. So what we thought we'd do, we thought we'd try and bring this a bit more to life by using video and audio. So those of you listening to us driving to work on the car, you're not missing a great deal because this is our first attempt. But those of you on YouTube, hopefully you'll get to see both myself and Alex in the flesh. So this is who we are. Give us a wave.
Let's hope. I'm not confident about this setup, but there you are.
Give us a wave, you grumpy old bugger. Alex is somewhere in the prison cell by the looks of things.
Yeah.
Are you in a chimney breast?
No, it's my bedroom in the roof here. It's just the wallpaper, and yeah, you can't really see a lot, but it's in the roof.
Yeah. I thought I was a Fenland boomer, but you've taken over my mantle after tonight, mate.
You reckon?
Yeah, we've got the IT sorted, we think. Just have to hope it all works. But yeah, we're going to give it a go, see what happens. And I think this is the way forward. But obviously, normally we can get it set up over the kitchen table. It's a bit easier. But this way, it's been a bit of a logistical nightmare, but we'll give it a go. Right, buddy. So we could go, well, you guys could go match fishing again, and the fishing gods decided to ruin it, really. But before we get onto the weather and the bad conditions, let's just pick up from where we were last week. I don't know if you remember, when I finished talking to you last week, we were talking about the tier 2, tier 3 scenario and the matches and what was going to happen. So what was the outcome in the end with your winter league?
So the league has been suspended for 2 months. Angling Trust have suspended all of their competitions for 2 months because of the travelling. It's not fair for people in tier 2 and travelling into tier 3s and tier 3s travelling into tier 2. So it's that's been suspended, which is a shame. But it's the right decision, really. It's not fair on some teams, and for me, it was definitely the right decision to cancel it.
So when did you guys hear about that?
Wednesday around lunchtime. Soon as the Angling Trust announced, that was it. Basically, it just filtered through to the team captains and then to the anglers, and straight away we organised a little knock up at March. So, which on the same pegs we were going to use anyway.
Right. Okay. So that must have caused a bit of panic stations at first, did it, with all the phone calls and getting the team sorted and letting everybody know?
Yeah. It doesn't take long nowadays, though, does it? With Facebook and WhatsApp and emails and stuff like that. I was fishing and I didn't have no internet, and then all of a sudden I had about 1 million messages and voice messages and emails come through explaining what had happened. So it was definitely the right thing to do, and you just got to get on with it. It's one of them things this year. It's not the only match that's been cancelled, put it that way. So
no,
we've got leagues and things that run after Christmas at the fishery and stuff, and fingers crossed we can get them up and running, but you just don't know, do you?
No, I suppose hindsight, it was a wise decision. It's just
yeah.
I mean, bait-wise, for you as a tackle shop owner, that must have been a little bit tricky, was it? Or were you just holding fire?
No, well, obviously with squats and things like that, they need at least a week to feed them up and to grow them. So I'd sort of ordered 15 gallon of squats, and I've still got a few squats left, but thankfully they were really big this week, so I can nurture them and look after them for next week. So they'll still be nice and big.
What's that, 120 pints, 15 gallons?
Something like that, mate.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
8 pints in a gallon.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. Cool.
120.
Yeah.
Good job you're a maths teacher, isn't it? Hey?
Well, I was a PE teacher, really, but I got 5 fingers on each hand, so I was all right. Oh, so John Taylor's got plenty of squats then, so that keeps him happy.
Yeah, it keeps everyone happy. Yeah, we've got plenty of plenty of bait. The bait farms, there's no shortage of bait. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I suppose, in hindsight, that's a wise thing. So at the minute then, all your matches will be opens, I suppose, for the
Yeah,
foreseeable future.
yeah. I'm not sure what's happening this weekend. I don't know if we've got an open match or not. I think Stan's Jays is going to run one at Benwick, possibly Thatcher Bank. I don't know. So as soon as I know anything, I'll post it on Facebook. There's a match. Few of the club matches didn't go ahead this week because of the tier scenario of where they are. So, yeah, there was only 44 in our match. So, half of what would normally be there if it was the team match. So,
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll come back to that in a bit because obviously
yeah,
you did quite well. And
yeah,
we've got,
yeah,
what did I call it earlier? A bit of show and tell.
yeah.
We'll get onto that in a bit. Right.
It's like being back at primary school.
Hey, it's American show and tell. Okay,
Yeah.
before we do a bit of show and tell, I'm just going to say a couple of things. As always, Fenland Guardian scheme. I did a pike talk for the northwest region of the country. So I think there was between 35 and 50 guys listening. I'm not sure how many because they were dialing in and out of the talk, and there's been a big uptake about the Guardian scheme. Lots of people want to get involved and mirror it and see where it goes and push it nationally. So that's been really good. I think, no, I'm pretty certain, because I had an email tonight, the middle level commissioners are going to pay for the next round of flyers and business cards to be printed. So that's
Right,
very
that's
kind
good.
of them. Yeah, that's really nice of them to do that. So that helps out in the short term with the funding because we can get another 1,000 of each printed. So middle level commissioners, that's a big thank you from us. So thank you for doing that. And yeah, I mean, it's growing massively. We must have probably 60 Guardians now. Had a few more on board this week. All of them non-anglers, which I think is really important because we need to, it's a community project. We need to spread the word. And I've now remembered what I was going to say to you. Do you remember about half an hour ago I said, I've got something else and I've forgotten what it was. And this kind of links in nicely with the Guardian scheme. I was talking to Peter Beckenham, the guy who we had on a couple of weeks ago, who's the conservation officer. And he's organised the funding, so that's great. Thank you, Peter, for that. But we're talking about bird flu. Have you seen some of the dead swans that have been appearing?
I haven't seen the pictures of them, but I've been keeping an eye on the Facebook posts about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so to give you an example, where I live, there were a breeding pair. Those joking apart because they were paying the backside to me this summer, but there's a breeding pair that had 7 cygnets, literally right in front of me where I live. There's only 3 cygnets left.
Right.
So 4 cygnets look as though they've died. I think they've succumbed to the bird flu, so that's a bit sad, really. I did see 2 on their own a few weeks ago, so whether they may have, they're a bit too young to go on their own, but I think they've perished from what I can gather. And I was talking to Peter tonight. So just for anybody, particularly anglers, who may come across sort of dead swans or birds in distress, there's a government website that explains what to do. And the best thing is you mustn't touch them. That's the first thing. Leave the birds where they are. And if you look on this government website, there is a hotline to phone DEFRA, and they will come and sort out the carcasses or birds that are in distress. So, yeah, that's kind of sweeping the fens at the minute. This bird flu with these birds, but it's not just swans. It's geese, ducks, birds of prey. So it's not even just for one species. So that is
That's sad.
kicking off at the minute. So
Yeah, it didn't help when there's how many thousand at Welney? How many pairs of swans are at Welney?
Yeah. I mean, there are
good, is it?
a lot of swans in the area, so it's not as though they're going to be endangered species, but hopefully this won't be too big a problem. It's just one of those things that happens. But yeah, 2020, mate, has been a testing year. Right, that's it from me from that front, really. Oh, I didn't tell you, did I? I had a clonking fish the other day.
Really? What, £10, £12?
Wasn't a pike.
Oh, right. Oh.
Yeah, I will tell you off air, but things are getting interesting. And They're not that secretive, but I may let on over the next couple of weeks.
I thought it was a bit strange that you weren't moaning about how you'd caught anything. You know, normally you start, oh, I haven't caught anything. Oh, they've all gone. Oh.
Well, I can't catch any pike, so I've decided to try and catch something else. So I've
Right.
had a PB this week, so that's been quite pleasing. So
That's good.
But, I will let on in a few weeks' time because I'm going to make hay while the sun shineth, and if I'm not careful, people flock in. So yeah, but no, that was quite good. So I'll tell you all later. So yes, I'm in a better mood because I've actually caught something for once, which makes a change.
Good.
Right, before we get onto the match results, let's just talk about the weather. It was okay, wasn't it? Sort of middle of last week, I thought this would be good. The matches will start and everyone will be happy.
Yeah.
No, and then
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. The matches will start, and then the weather turns rancid.
We had a day of non-stop rain. I was actually piking in that. When I looked 3 days beforehand, it was meant to be light rain. And this was Thursday, light rain in the afternoon. No, that just came down. And then, of course, we had the snow Friday, and it was probably the thickest we've had for 4 or 5 years, I'd say. Don't know what you think. It just sort of piled in.
I was travelling to pick some bait up, and I left March at probably 6:15, something like that, and it was not a drop of snow or rain. It was a little bit damp. Time I got where I was going and coming back, the old phone was pinging and little pictures and stuff of snow everywhere, and it was mental, really. There was a bit on the fishery, and that soon went when it started to rain, and there's water everywhere.
I know, it was strange. I mean, Saturday on the old course of the Nene, I don't think I've ever seen it so high. It came over all the moorings, and it was absolutely hooning through, and obviously taking down all the dead reeds and weeds with it, which is what we needed it to do, really, have a good flush out. But you guys did not need it for Sunday, did you? That's the problem.
No, it weren't ideal, mate. No.
So let's start with some of these match results. Did you want to start with Whittlesea? Because I know they had a big issue Saturday.
Yeah, so they planned to fish Beggars Bridge on the 20-foot, and as we all know, the 20-foot, when that wants to run, that absolutely bombs through, and like everywhere, it was probably a good 1.5 2 foot up. So they made a quick decision to go to the disabled pegs at Whittlesea on the Bower or Whittlesea Diet, whatever you want to call it. And by the looks of the pictures and stuff, it was up over the platforms on the concrete. I have seen it that high once there before, but that just goes to show all that water there goes through the river at March here, so all that has to come down before obviously this end comes down. So I believe Mark Barron won the match from the end peg with £8.11, and the rest of them struggled considerably.
Yeah, I read it. I read it today. Mark won it with £8 something, and then I think the next guy had 15
second was
ounces.
11 ounce, 15 ounces.
Yeah, and then there was an estimated ½ ounce for 2 perch for third, I think.
Yeah,
that just shows you how
fair play for sticking it out and giving it a go. You know, it's surprising, really, isn't it? How that much water would affect it. You'd still think you'd be able to catch, but the fish just hide, don't they?
Well, I was checking out. Is it Jeff Tuttleby? Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
He organises the matches, and bless him, they were really keen, and he was getting everybody on board through Facebook. I could see them all sort of signing up, and I thought this is good. It's got everyone match fishing again, and obviously they were going to go Saturday. Then suddenly I read what they had to do, and it was a mad scramble. I think even they got caught out with how high the water was, and at the last minute they had to reschedule. But good on them, because that's what it's all about, is adapting to the conditions and going from there, really. So that's Whittlesea. What else have you got? Because I'm a bit confused of who had a match and who didn't.
Well, we had Ramsey had their Wednesday Open, so straight from lockdown they had their knock up at St Mary's. Top rod was Ivan Steele's, man on fire. I think he's been practicing down there every day during lockdown, so he's fine tuned it. He had, I'll just give him a bit of paper. He had 15. No, he didn't. he had £14.2 on Wednesday from Peg 5, just beating his brother with £11.10. Dave was second. Third was Keith, Don't Show Us Your Teeth with £10.5. And fourth was Jeff Tuttleby with £9.9. So I think Wednesday was one of them days. I mean, we went on the old Need at March Wednesday because we weren't sure whether the match was on or off. So we had a bit of a line-up and a bit of practice, and it was really, really tough for 45, 50 minutes. None of us had a bite. And you know as well as I do how many fish are in March. And it was weird. It was the first sort of start of that cold weather. And yeah, a lot of places, a lot of people struggled as well. I think the Well Creek didn't fish particularly well on Wednesday. So I think it was just one of them days. But Sunday they went back to their usual place. And the fish, obviously it being colder, the fish have bunched up nearer to the town, well, nearer to the bridge. And out in front was Mount Plant with 15 dead from Peg 2. Ivan Steels was second, £14.6. Paul Kilby, £14.4. And then Mark Williams, £13.2. So still decent weights. Not quite as big as they have been before we went into lockdown. You needed sort of £18, £20 to win. But lots of small fish, plenty of bites, and that'll keep you warm. So that's the Ramsey matches. And I do believe this week they're Wednesday again. The match is on St Mary's, and I think Sunday is as well. I'm not too sure.
Oh, they've done well because they've kept it going. That must have been a lot of water's come through, and that's not a bad match on the Sunday considering how much water they've had. That's really good, isn't it? Cool. Did Tid have a match in the end? I couldn't work out what was going on.
No, Tid didn't in the end. I think so many of their members live in Lincolnshire because, like we were saying, one side of Tid's in Lincolnshire, the other side's in Cambridgeshire. So, real awkward one, that one. So I think they decided to call that one a day. And I'm not sure if they've got their Wednesday one this week or not because of that. But we'll see. We'll see on that one. The only other match...
Sorry, mate, I'm going to tell you a story about Tidgoat Pub.
Go for it.
So I've been reliably informed that one of the bars is in Cambridgeshire and one of the bars is in Lincolnshire. And in the good old days, on Sunday, I think it's Sundays, Cambridgeshire pubs had to shut at 10, or last orders was at 10, and Lincolnshire's at 10:30. So one of the things about the old pub, what they used to do at 10 o'clock or 10:01, they'd all walk from the Cambridgeshire bar with their pints in their hands and go and stand in the Lincolnshire bar. So they were still good order. How true that is, how true that is, I do not know, but apparently that's what they used to do in the old Tidgoat pub. I've probably been wound up by that one.
Only in the Fens, eh?
Only in the Fens, boy. Yeah. Sorry, mate, I interrupted you.
No, the only other match that I know of, if there's any others, please get in contact, but I couldn't see any or haven't heard of any, is the St Neots Winter Series at Hembrook. I think it's a 3-match series. I think it's done on points. I think last year it was on weight. I think this year's on points. Don't quote me on that one. So obviously the angler at the end of it who has the lowest points wins. In event of a tie, it goes on combined weight. So this week's winner was Maurice Mobbs. I think he's 87 now. So
brilliant.
Fair play to Mo. I've known Mo quite a while now through him working for Mick Dant a few years back when he used to deliver to Millview, and then obviously when I worked for Mick, I used to work with Mo as well. So it's good to see him fishing, and his enthusiasm at 87 is unbelievable. So well done, Mo. Runner-up was Scott Denton with £10 dead. Third was Mark Dickerson, the old venue expert, with £8.4. And then fourth was Mark Baines with £7.10. So respectable weights, but Pembroke's one of those little brooks, little streams that come off the main ooze, and the fish do pack in there. But I think it just had a bit too much pace this week for him, a bit too much colour, but still decent weights.
That is good, isn't it?
It's a brilliant little club. Yeah, I see some pictures of some juniors fishing with them as well. So they're a fantastic club.
Cool.
Really, really good.
Just had to adjust the camera. This is so weird. I've got your head behind my GoPro. It's like...
Yeah.
It's okay. We can do this. No, that's great, isn't it? And they've got the fact they got the juniors involved as well is really really good. Yeah, cool. But I think match result wise, that's probably it, isn't it?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just got the match at March, and that's it really.
Cool. Well, that's a good job. You did well because now we've got something to talk about this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am open. I came back yesterday night. I was a bit tired and cold from my escapades. It was a bitterly cold day, but we had a bit of fun. And then I looked on Facebook and I nearly fell over. Back on form.
Back on form.
Back on form. Yeah, you did well, didn't you?
Yeah, you got to draw a peg, mate, to win these days. The competition's so good, you know, you can't. You have to draw. It's simple as that. And
Alex, hold on 1 minute, buddy.
drawing a good peg.
Are you sliding off your bed, or is it your cam? That's it. I can see you now. There we go.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
you.
trying to get further and further away from you, but
You
you know.
are. Yeah. No. I can see. Yeah. So yeah. Well, you've got. Yeah. You can't catch what's not there, and you've got to draw well.
No.
So obviously you guys decided to have a knock-up. It was at 43, 44 peg knock-up.
Yeah. 44 pegs.
Not a small match by any means. That's a big match.
No. Originally, we'd planned to sort of go from the allotments up to the bypass. Bob rung me on the Saturday and said it's really, really high. Are we still going to fish? And I sort of said, yeah, we're still going to fish. So he rung me a bit later and said I had to leave certain pegs out because you couldn't get in because it was so high, or the pegs that are sort of set back in the trees, so you won't be able to fish. So I was like, all right, okay. So he's had to put extra pegs to the right of where we were going to peg, which meant sort of 7 pegs to the right of the health centre bridge. So yeah, it was a tough match for 95% of the people. It sort of felt like an old school March match where if you didn't draw in the epicentre, that you didn't have a chance, and that's pretty much how it was.
Why do you think that
There
is?
was a few.
Do you think the fish have been literally pushed into the town centre now, or is it the pegs in the town centre make it a bit easier to fish when there's a bit of pace on it?
I don't know. I mean, we went Wednesday and sat in the allotments, and we struggled. There's a few decent fish about, but not like what you were catching 2 or 3 weeks ago, where you could sit down and catch 20 pounds standing on your head. And that was all the way from the bypass bridge all the way up to the town bridge. Solid with fish. I presume Neen Parade would be solid with fish as well, but obviously we don't get a chance to fish that anymore. And then the fish sort of dwindled out from Wigston's and below Wigston's through the Narrows. It was pretty poor. But it almost feels like all the fish have gone that way, whether they can't all be there. That's the fact. Maybe they've had a bit of a hammer and sort of shut up shop for a little bit, or the weather has got obviously a massive factor to it. But yeah, it just felt, I don't know, it felt like March used to be like 10 years ago, where if you drew from the bypass to the allotment start, it was like, oh, more people went home than actually fished their pegs. I don't think it'll be like that. I think it's the weather personally, but it just felt different.
Yeah, I mean,
can't really explain.
From a pike fishing perspective, this is the one thing I do know for definite. Well, there's 2 things. I was surprised on it. I went on the Thursday because that's when the front was coming in.
Yeah,
absolutely convinced I was going to catch. Didn't get a touch, but it was a drain I was fishing. It's been absolutely raped. I think there's nothing left, but that's another story. But the other thing I've noticed is when you get loads of rain and snow melt go into the drains, it's a massive drop in temperature, but also you've got all the grit and salt coming off the roads going straight in as well. And I think the fish just don't want it. It's the drop in temperature which must stun them, because it must happen quite quick for them. Yeah. And they've got all this rubbish coming through as well, which must make it really difficult for them to breathe. So obviously they're going to have a lower metabolic rate anyway because they're colder, but it's probably just a complete shock for their systems. And as a creature, the last thing you want to do when you had a shock to your system is eat, isn't it? It's like, oh,
yeah.
I just want to. They must get packed into places, and it puts them off doing what they normally do. On the flip side, in about a week and a half's time, as all this water's going through, even a week's time, and you get that lovely bottle green colour.
Yeah.
People are going to have a field day, I think, because they'll really go on the munch, particularly if there's a bit of it gets a bit milder, sort of like 8-10 degrees, and the water temperatures start to pick up again.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hopefully for Christmas match, yeah.
Is that you got one on the 20th, haven't you?
Yeah, 20th is Bob's Christmas match,
Yeah.
so
Cool.
hopefully it'll be perfect for that.
Right, let's go back to the match in question then. So you drew
Yeah.
quite a nice a very good section, didn't you?
Yeah. So I'll start with the results from sort of bypass back towards where I am, because you can see it just gets worse and worse and worse as you go away from the town. So the end sort of 5 peg section was one with £1.10, which that's terrible from March standards. Second section 212, next section 213, next section 214, next 5 pegs £3.7. So where that is there is probably when you come in just past the scout hut area now.
Yeah.
So as it's getting nearer the town, it's getting a bit warmer, I suppose. Maybe there's a few more boats, a bit more, slack water fishing. Next 6 pegs, £7. Then the allotments, basically where we practiced in the week, so right at the allotment style there where it used to be, £10 won that section. Then £11 won the next section, which is basically just above the health centre. And then the last section by quite a few defaults was Matt Barker with £9. I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning his defaults there. So yeah, they're the 5 peg section winners. All the frame come from the same sort of 7 pegs. Fourth in the match was Richard Martin. He drew peg 1 with peg 2 not drawn, so he was sort of the favourite, which was basically the slipway, not at the back of the swimming pool. Yeah, you know where I am.
Yeah.
Most people know where that is. So he's drawn that peg with loads of room, bit wider there as well, so the pace is obviously a bit slower. The pace is on the far bank as it comes around the bend to go into the town. So he's at 12.10. Steve Slater, 14.10. He was a couple of pegs to his left. And then second was Graham Welton, 16.12. He was 2 below the health centre. And then I won it with 23.12, and I was the first peg below the bridge where the sort of high platform is, and you've got the slipway on the far bank, the old, is it middle level commissioners or scout? I can't remember what it is there.
No, that's
Scoldings.
Scoldings.
Yard.
Yeah,
that's
they put that slipway in memory of, is it Peter Scolding?
Right, yeah,
One
that
of
rings
them,
a bell now.
But have you seen how steep it is?
Yeah, I've never seen anyone use it. Have you?
It'd be impossible unless you had a winch, really big hydraulic winch at the top. You couldn't reverse a car, a 4x4 down, because it would just pull everything straight in. So
yeah,
I think it was a good idea. But anyway, back to the match.
So when I drew my peg, I sort of went 7, peg 7. Where's that 7? Bob said, that's right next to the bridge, and I'd sort of been down and looked in 2 or 3 places in the morning in the freezing fog, and I looked at it and I thought, this ain't good. And I pulled up near your house, near the health centre there, and ran across the bridge and had a quick look, and I thought, it's pulling hard, I don't really fancy that. And then when I got to my peg in daylight, I could see I'd got slack water, which when it's bombing through like that, it's a godsend. And I actually had two areas in my peg where I could fish. I had, because the platform sort of set back, in my inside I could fish like a top 4 kit out, and it was actually going back the other way. That's how slack it was there.
Wow.
Yeah, so I fancied that. I know it's quite shallow there, but it was probably, I don't know, 2 foot deep.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe if it colours up even more, I might have a chance. And if it gets faster, there's more likely the fish to come in there. And then where sort of the flow sort of funnels down the middle there. So down the middle, it was like 4 gram pace. It was proper 4 or 5 gram pace probably, and there was clumps of weed and all sorts coming down. So I didn't even plumb that up. I thought there's no way I'm going to catch through there. And then because what happens, it comes through the bridge and then it sort of widens up into the bend. excuse me. So it's sort of the pace sort of swells out there. And the peg above the health centre, there's a bridge, there's a quite a big boat that's moored there all the time, and it sort of deflects the flow down the middle even more. And on the far bank near this slipway, there's like a boat below, sort of halfway across the slipway, and I had a nice steady bit of water there at like 14.5 metres. So it was a long way over. I mean, people might say, "Oh, you want to fish a waggle, it'd be easier," but it probably would to get over there, but you'd never be able to present it because the middle's going at 5 gram pace.
Yeah.
Under your feet's going one way, and you got nice pace on the far bank, so it's just impossible. So I didn't set too much gear up. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. Definitely didn't expect it to be that good. And I sort of took it steady at the start. I fed a ball in the slackish water on a top 4 kit with a few pinkies in. I didn't put too much bait in because I weren't sure what sort of day it was going to be. And then I actually went 16 metres to start off with, because it was about 1.5 foot there, and it felt a little bit slacker water. And I thought I'll just put a ball there and a ball there, and then I'll sort of assess my match after sort of 25, 30 minutes to see what's happening. And rig wise, I set up. Just grab
Alex,
some
before
rigs.
you do your rig, because I've got a question to ask you.
Yeah.
On the inside line, how did you ensure you didn't mess it up with your keep net?
With my keep net?
Yeah.
So my keep net, obviously, I have a depth gauge marker anyway. So I have a bank stick with black tape every inch apart, and then I peg my keep net out, and then obviously you can look at the depth gauge on my keep net, and it's stopping my keep net from going backwards and forwards.
So because you had this inside line, did you put your keep net to the right or the left of you?
I put it to the right of me, so it went out, so it created a slack behind it.
Did you fish behind your keep net?
No, I didn't need to, no, because the slack, I had quite a bit of slack, and it was it was weird. Right near my keep net, it was probably going to the left, but then in front of me, it was gradually nicely going to my right, and then it went into like a big boil, where obviously there was like a traffic cone, or all the rubbish that's in March Town.
Because in my head, that inside line is quite a good one to have, but you don't want to disturb the fish that are already in there. So do you just carefully put your net out to the side at the right, but it's still going to be taken out of the way by the flow that's going still down that way? Is that what happens?
I mean, in a normal situation, it always flows left to right when it's going to bomb through. I mean, I just pegged it back tight to the bank.
Right, I got
just out of the way, really. Yeah. It wasn't ever going to I was never going to fish behind it, if you know what I mean, because I knew. I even set up a stick float as well because it looked nice down my peg, sort of past the boils, and I picked it up twice, and after like 40 minutes, I did. Yeah. It wasn't right because my eyes were freezing up on my rod. I was like, "What's going on here?" I'm like trying to run the rig through, and there was all loads of stuff on the surface as well, and it was like it was not the ideal. If there'd have been nothing on the top and just a nice smooth run, it'd have been perfect for a stick. But it was all over the place, and bits and bobs coming in and out. And then I was trying, the ice on the rings was freezing up, and it was a nightmare. But I didn't overcomplicate from the start, and I think when you fish these venues and that, the more you set up, the more you complicate things sometimes.
Yeah.
It's nice to have everything set up at the start and just pick it up, but I think you have to sort of assess it as you're going along half the time. That's why you need to be prepared with different rigs and stuff like that. I mean, I'll show you what I set up mainly. So when it's flowing like that, and even when it's got a bit of pace on, I do always set up a little flat float for March. It just offers something a bit different. You can slow your bait right down. And I plumbed up at 4 metres and then at 16 metres, and there was about probably 6 or 8 inches difference between the two depths. I plumbed up at 14.5 as well, and that's the same depth there as it was at 4 metres. So I thought if it slows down a little bit, I'll probably catch in that same depth across in a little bit faster water. So I set up a 0.5 and a 0.75, which for fishing in that, because it's only shallow, you don't want a too long a float. So I'll show that there. That's the Carper Speed, they're called. And it's sort of a round rugby ball shaped body, fairly thick wire stem, but a fibre bristle. And it's quite short for their weight. So when you're fishing in shallow water, you're not
Just hold that
got
up
too
so I
big
can
a
see it,
float.
the camera, buddy. Just hold it.
So you can see that there.
Oh, I got it, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
So it's, I just like them when there's a bit of pace on at March and you need more line between your float and your pole tip. They got a bit of a shoulder. You can just hold them and check them through and do what you want, really. And like I say, they're short for their size. So whereas if you take a normal gram rig, say, I don't know.
So going back to those first ones, what are they called?
So these are the Carper Speed, they're called. Or sorry, Carper Short.
Because obviously we've got guys listening without the video as well, so they're called Carper Short.
Yeah.
Okay, and they take
Carper Short.
I mean, you're saying, so what sort of shotting
So,
pattern would you have on them?
So, obviously you want to get it down. If you're fishing over ground bait, you want your bulk down, maybe 1-2 droppers. So you're fishing quick and you sort of hold it onto your rig and then running it through. So with that, I've got a bulk of shot, sort of 8s, 9s and 10s in a little tapered bulk. And then I've got 2 10 droppers on both rigs, really, both set the same, but just different weights, a 0.5 and a 0.75. So they're, even when there's less pace on March, I do use these rigs just for the simple fact. Sometimes after Christmas, when the fish have been battered, they tend to back off down your peg out of the way. And you can sort of fish a long line. You can control them and put them through how you dead right. That. You can use a little back shot. It's just a nice float for that. And they're fairly sensitive floats as well. Not too sensitive, but sensitive enough to see them shy bites. But so that's 2 rigs I set up. The other rigs were little flat floats. So I think we've talked quite a bit about the flat floats.
Yep, I got those, yeah.
So these flat floats are a little bit different. Normally a flat float has a metal stem.
They're quite small, aren't they, for flat floats? As in the body.
These ones are, yeah.
Yeah.
So if I show you on this one here, look, you can see the stem that comes off. So whereas these actually have an eye. I'll show you.
What are these ones called, Alex?
So these are called Colmic Navy flat floats.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can see there, look,
the
eye on the end there.
Yeah.
See that there. So yeah, basically these you can run them through at pace. So you can just run them because obviously the eye is straight down, or you can hold it back and they just itch through absolutely lovely. And then obviously the pace is changing not loads, but it's varying. So I set up a 2 gram one of these yesterday, which probably at the start was maybe a bit too light, but by the end of it, it was too heavy. So that's the beauty about these, is you can still use them. Whereas if you had one of the standard type flat floats, after once the pace is gone, they're no good because they're designed to fish them dead still. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Oh, so those smaller ones, you run them in, and you can do still.
Yeah, you can run them through, hold them tight, you can do whatever you want. So they're a bit more versatile. And then that was it, really. They were the rigs I set up. Oh no, sorry, no. And then I set up Old Faithful little. These are just a little handmade job trill. They're called. Well, that's what we call them, our lads. Little cane bristle, little black body. They're a bit like a Basie, but instead of a hollow bristle, these are cane. And I set up a 4x12 one of them on a long line, and that was for a proper scratching rig in front of me, or if the pace dropped for fishing across. But before the start, I was a bit I fancied it for a few, but I didn't think it'd be because it was. So I started off, fed my ball short, dropped in on my 0.75 rig, and second drop through, I caught a roach about 2 ounce on the short line. I thought, this is all right. run it through about another 7, 8, 9 times, nothing. So I topped up, run it through 2 or 3 times, nothing. I thought, this is strange. And I just went a little bit past, right down my peg, float went under, and I had like my biggest fish of the day, which was a 6-ounce skimmer. And I thought, oh, this is all right. If I just nick one of these every sort of 5-10 minutes, I'll put a decent weight together, which should be enough. And that just completely died, that line. So I thought, right, I'll go across. I fancied this line across because it wasn't dead water, but it was a lot slower.
Yeah.
And with that depth, I thought if that's where the fish are going to be, they're not going to be nearest me. So I went over on like my 0.75 rig, put it in, run it through. I thought, was that a bite? No, I think that was weed. And then like run it through, clonk, got one about an ounce. I thought, oh, there's fish about. Went in again, another one, and I thought this rig's too heavy. It's not going as fast as I thought it was. So I've come in, picked my 0.5 up, put that in, and that was all right. But you could see the level was dropping quite quick. So I was sort of adjusting the float, getting the right depth. There was loads of rubbish coming through, you know, all on your shot. You had little bits of black weed and stuff, even above your bristle and that. There was so much rubbish coming in.
I'll bet.
Yeah. So, and I thought this rig's too heavy as well. So, I don't know. I thought the pace is slowed, not massively, but it has slowed enough. So, I felt that because the water level was dropping so quick, I thought I'm never going to catch it this 16 metres all day. And there's a few fish about, and I thought I don't want to be shipping 16 metres all day with, if everyone knows the peg, there's like a big platform, but it's set that high up, you know whenever fish is on it. And it's half overgrown now with brambles and stuff where no one sat there. And that's on your left. And then you sort of have to get down to the right of it. And then behind you, you've got like all brambles behind you as well. And because the water level's so high, normally you'd get in front of that platform and you'd be nice and you could ship back all right. But it just made everything 10 times more awkward. Brambles shipping back through the hedge.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, so I'd plumbed up at 14.5 metres. And I know, because obviously it was the same depth as my top 4 line. So I thought, right, I'm gonna feed 2 balls of ground bait at 14.5 metres. It'd be easier, and the pace is slowed enough now. I think I'll catch there. So I fed 2 balls there, come back short, had a quick look short, nothing. So I thought, well, I'll just keep throwing a little ball in every now and then. They might turn up on that line. I'm going to sort of hedge my bets long now. And I thought, well, I've got a line at 16 if they do back off or I can't catch that. I know there's fish at 16 metres. So I went in and like third run through, nice little dumpy roach on my little 2 gram flatty, putting it through, just slightly overshot and just holding on to it, putting it through. And then had another one. And then I thought, went through the range of rigs again. And then picked the 4x12 rig up, which is a bulk of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 number 11s and 2 number 11 droppers, and got that going through, and that was like flicking a switch. It was unbelievable. The light rig is what they wanted, and then after sort of 10, 12 fish over the ground bait, I felt that it was they wanted loose feed, so I just started dinking a few pinkies sort of right at the top of my peg, and I thought, well, we'll see. You know, if they back off right down my peg, then you know I can always adjust it or just feed it in ground bait accordingly. So I started dinking pinkies, and you could feel the fish were coming up your peg really quick, and straight away I could catch sort of, I don't know, 1.5 meters, 2 meters from where they were landing in the water, and the fish started getting bigger as well. So and I thought, well, this could be really good here. And after probably an hour and a half, I'd sort of settled on the rig, settled on the feeding, and you couldn't feed too regularly because if you fed too regularly, they'd come right up your peg. And then if you fed not enough, they'd just drop right down your peg. So you had to get your feeding right and depth right as well because of the water level dropping so quick. And I just had a straightforward match really. I had spells. You knew when you was going to catch a different species of fish because you put your rig in, you go in, you'd be roach, and then you'd get like 2 up your peg, 2 down below your peg, and then all of a sudden you'd run your rig through and not get a bite, and you feel that's a bit strange. and then you'd do is keep on feeding exactly the same, and all of a sudden, next fish you'd catch would be like a little skimmery thing, right? And you'd have 3 or 4 of them in 3 chucks, and then you'd go quiet again, and then like the roach would come in, and peg just kept getting better and better, and then as it always does at March, the last sort of hour, I could feel it going away from me. The bites were a bit slower, and the fish were inconsistent in the stamp, so I sort of knew I had to fish 16 metres then. So put the next section on, catching in sort of my overspray of the pinkies, and just carried on catching for the rest of the match. So I ended up with 23.12, which is a nice day's fishing. I think if I'd have sussed it a bit early, you probably could have had 25, 26 pound, which, I mean, I'm very lucky really to have the peg I've had. It's you can't loose feed pinkies on probably 95% of the pegs on there this Sunday. You won't be able to loose feed pinkies, but for that peg, it was dead right.
Yeah, that sounds like it had a. Well, you read it well, didn't you? Because you did a bit of watercraft before you even started fishing. You sort of sussed out where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
And you sort of you knew that. Hence why I asked about the keep net, because obviously you had different parts of the peg that you knew you could you could give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's fishing sort of a river like that, a drain, that you got to look for the slack water.
Yeah.
Sometimes as well, people look at it and go, God, that's absolutely bombing through, and you tend to, people go too heavy. Because of the depth of the water, it's only like 5 foot maximum. You still don't need a heavy float. I know it sounds strange, but it's the top's moving probably quicker than the bottom on a lot of it as well.
Yeah.
But it's mad, really. I mean, yeah.
Also, you've got.
Thankfully, I've had a good draw.
You've got that. If you look at the cross section of, of course, it's probably shadow, and then you've got somewhere you've got a bit of a boat channel as well, haven't you?
Yes,
so
that's it.
That's just going to be that shadow bit's probably going to move a bit quicker than that slightly deeper bit because basically the friction of.
Well, I don't know. I always think it's moves slower on the far bank.
Do you?
When it's bombing like that, I think naturally the pace of the river is down the middle, because of the boats and that just pushing it into the middle all the time.
Yeah,
you see what I mean?
Also, I tell you what, I didn't realise until I actually was on a boat looking along particularly the town section. It's not straight. There's lots of subtle bends.
Oh yeah,
really subtle bends.
Surprising.
Yeah, it's surprising. It's only when you get in the middle of the river you kind of go, that's not straight. There's a bend there and there's a kink there.
Yeah,
it is surprising. Yeah. Oh, well done, buddy. That's a great match. And with all the, I'll say nonsense. Nonsense is the wrong word, but all the kind of stuff that you've had to deal with the last few weeks, trying to get matches organised and organising teams and your tackle shop side of things, getting bait organised. That's a nice one to get you going, isn't it? Get a win under your belt, and then gets the confidence going as well. So well done, brilliant, really good. Yeah. So back on form again, like you were last year. You were absolutely smashing it, weren't you? So. Getting back into it, that's good. And that was a great explanation about the different rigs. I take it all those rigs are available from the tackle shop?
Well, the rigs aren't.
Sorry,
but
no, the floats.
Yeah.
The floats.
I don't tie. No, just Simon's does some good rigs. So
just out of interest, what size hooks were you using?
That was the other thing. I started on 20s on a series 4, and I felt there was stages there where I felt a bigger bait was better. So I went up to an 18, and the big double baits was better, but on a smaller hook. I don't know. I think with the bigger the hook, you just carried on catching too much weed. So the smaller hook, you could run it through a bit cleaner and get a better presentation. But 20s is about bob on, really.
What are you using, pinky or big red maggot?
Pinkies, yeah. Single
pinkies.
or double pinky.
Yeah.
I've probably fed 3/4 of a pint of pinkies.
Right.
Which, when you feed in most put-ins or every other put-in, sort of 15, 20 at a time, nice and regularly. Even had a bob nud rudd as well.
They are
which
there.
Surprised me in that.
They are there.
Yeah, they're there.
I think that's a really important thing to state, particularly to kind of novice match anglers or novice anglers in general. you can't take out what you've put in, can you? So it's better to go very steady and light with your
Definitely.
feed in, and
Yeah.
then you can
Yeah.
judge what you're doing from there. I mean,
Yeah.
with the conditions out here at the weekend was a classic example because it was absolutely hooning through, lots of cold water, and if you'd have put too much bait in to start off with, that'd have been it. But it sounds like you had fish that were quite active and actually looking to feed as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Well, I think they do genuinely when there's that sort of pace. They're moving constantly,
Yeah.
aren't they, against the flow, and they sort of have to feed. But
I think it shows you how many fish are in there because that water temperature did drop drastically, didn't it? And
oh yeah,
to
yeah.
still
The
produce,
fish. To be fair though, I was expecting the first fish I caught to be like an ice block,
yeah,
but it wasn't. I think the fish felt warm compared to like us because it was like -1 all day, wasn't it?
yeah,
It never got above freezing.
no,
So the fish felt warmer than I expected. So the water temperature's probably, I don't know, 3-4 degrees, probably a bit warmer
I don't
than the
know.
air temperature.
Where I was, it was 7 degrees surface temperature on the water.
Right.
Yeah, so that's
7 degrees.
yeah, yeah,
Well, the water temperature was 7 degrees.
yeah,
That's why the fish felt so warm then, isn't it?
yeah. But that wasn't out there where it's shallow. But it just
Oh,
shows you,
right.
yeah, it just shows you how it just the water does take a bit of time to respond. But all that cold water coming in, it still would have put a lot of them down. So it's a magic little venue. It's fantastic that you guys can still have
Yeah.
a good day's sport with
Yeah.
what will be the worst conditions this year that you'll have there, I'd imagine.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got the wind to come yet, and we normally get that just after Christmas. January's wind month. It's like last year we had so much wind, it was a joke. And obviously in the fens we know what it's like, but for anglers that travel down there and not knowing the fens, they say, God, it's always windy. And you're like, well, it ain't windy, this is just nice. This is normal for around here. But
yeah, it is always
we had
windy.
some serious wind, didn't we, last year?
Every time we went out, we kept saying on the podcast last year, every time we recorded, it was like, I think we were red cheeked, weren't we? Like,
Yeah.
bugger me, it's been windy again. Yeah. Oh, well done, buddy. Right, let's hope. Well, I'm not sure what's going on with all the smaller club matches because obviously they're trying to organise. And you mentioned about Ramsey having theirs on, and Whittlesea, I know, have got organised. Tid have got obviously a dilemma with the tier system, so I think they're
I
trying.
had a quick look on the whole beach page as well, and I never see no match results on their page.
Really? Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a difficult one, and I don't know what to say really. It's just one of those things. I think people are just going to have to put up with it for a short while until things improve. But I don't know what's going to happen when we get near Christmas. Whether the tier systems will collapse for a couple of weeks, are they? Don't know.
I don't know. Really don't know, mate. They say 16th of December is the next sort of milestone, isn't it? When they're going to reassess the thing.
Yeah.
I can't see him relaxing it, but then you never know. This year's been such a stupid, weird year. You never know, do you?
No, have no clue what's going on. Right, buddy. So before we leave, we do have to mention about the competition. So I know at least 3 more people have entered via the Tales from the Tackle Shop page.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant.
Have you had any more via the Tackle Mates one?
Yeah, there's a lot more. I don't think a few people have seen it. I'll share it again this week, and Wednesday we'll announce the winner, and then obviously next week's podcast we can announce the winner as well.
Cool. Well, that'd be good. So come on, people, get in, get your name down. You could win
in it to win it.
Yeah, about 40 quid's worth of stuff there. It's a nice one to win just before Christmas. Cool. All right, buddy. Well, let's. After we've stopped recording, I'll have to see if I can get all this to mesh together. Hopefully the GoPro at yours is in the right place so we can use that one.
Well, who knows? I'm not confident.
I'm sure people don't want to see just my face constantly throughout this. That'd be pretty sad for them. Hopefully we've got you on camera really well. But we are trying. For that, everyone who's listening, perhaps in their car going to work, we are trying to, like I said at the beginning, try and do this a bit more visually. And those watching on YouTube, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's worked. Like I said, it's a bit of a Hail Mary, this one. We don't know if it's going to work or not. So people might go, where's the page you said there was video? There's only audio. If it's only audio, you know it didn't work, and we had to scrap it. And we had to scrap the video side, but we will try. And like I said, when when we can meet up properly, it's going to be so much easier, and I think it's the way to go. All right, buddy. Anything else that you'd like to add this week?
No, nothing. I've got nothing to add really, mate. Nothing to add.
No, cool. All right. Well, you've been a legend, and thanks for everyone for listening. So this has been Tales
Yeah.
from the Tackle Shop, a Fenland Fishing TV production.